Hello and welcome to the Procurement Podcast, brought to you by BizClick and our sponsors for this series, Amazon Business. This is your go-to podcast for all things procurement, providing great conversation, unique executive insights, and the strategic secrets that you need to move from a tactical buyer to a leader and business enabler. I'm your guest host for the episode, Matt High, and it's great to have you all with me for the next 30 minutes.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Procurement Magazine podcast, your source for everything procurement. I'm your host, Matt High, and I am here with Felix Meng, co-founder of Zip. Felix, how you doing?
Good, great. Hi, everybody who's tuning in. Matt, thank you for having me here.
No worries. It's a pleasure, as always. It's always nice to meet up. We last spoke in Amsterdam, didn't we? So it's been a few months.
Like,
so,
man, your hair has only gotten better, man.
I've had about one haircut.
Rock star.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about you rather than me, and before I get too embarrassed, and we'll save me the blushes. But I guess we're here to talk about, you've been busy as ever. When are you not busy, I suppose, but that's another question perhaps. But I know there's been a few announcements, releases recently, so why don't you walk us through those? Super agents, MCP, AI spend automation, so many things going on. Tell us about them, I guess, first, and unpick them, because there's quite a lot there.
Yeah. This is really the biggest launch I feel we've ever done as an organization, and I'll maybe break them apart. They're really three pieces, but they're all super deeply connected with each other. Super agents are where, our agents will be able to autonomously conduct far more complex work. There's going to be a lot more advanced planning, a lot more advanced reasoning, a lot more context, a lot more actions they can take. That's really going to progress the bar forward for procurement teams globally on how work is now being conducted in an AI first world. The second piece, Zip MCP, really what we've seen at large across companies is a move towards employees conducting work in a more centralized area, typically powered by AI. So think about this as a GPT interface or a Claude interface. And we're seeing this in mass happening. And I truly believe in the next, pretty short term, 6 months, 12 months, we're going to see a pretty large migration across the world with enterprises moving to this way of conducting work.
Wow.
MCP allows us to bring all of the context and data of Zip, all of the power of agents, but really meet employees where they'll be conducting work. Super users might still come into Zip, but your average day-to-day user that maybe, comes in once, twice, maybe 3 times a year, I think they just want to do work in their sort of main interface where they're asking it all sorts of non-procurement things. Too. So MCP, again, really allows us to extend that power of Zip and orchestration and AI to where they're conducting work in a very governed manner.
Fantastic.
Lastly, AI spend automation. I get to talk to a lot of leaders out there, and I think it's both a very exciting time for these leaders right now, just going through a level of change and pace that we've just not seen in the industry. But it's also a little bit scary if you think about it, right? You've got loads of processes and systems that you've probably spent the better part of 2 decades investing in, building, documenting, really important control points for your business. When companies move and migrate into this AI first world, a lot of that stuff that was built yesterday, that's not necessarily the right way to actually conduct work and drive the best outcomes. As you just move forward. So what we did is we really combined access to the software itself, combined with consumption credits packaged up, and most importantly, combined with Zip's forward deployed engineers that will actually sit down side by side with practitioners, their teams, really understand and unpack how work is being conducted today, and how to translate that into a world where there's redesigned processes hosted in AI-first technology with Zip. When you bring those items together, right, you've got the super agents, you've got MCP, you've got this AI spend automation way of strategically approaching the work, and you combine all of that, that now provides the first global procurement process system, strategy, infrastructure to actually coherently deploy AI into your business for what our stakeholders are dealing with. So I know it's a bit long-winded, but we're so passionate about this, Matt, and a lot of investment from our employees and frankly our clients. the past few years have gone into this moment.
It wasn't long at all, Felix. Great answer. I mean, there's so much to unpack there, and we'll do that. I was really excited by AI super agents, I have to say. It sounds like you're building like a workforce of superheroes to go and help procurement or something.
But that is what
exactly.
I mean, it truly is.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Will that be the next Marvel film, do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. We got a little ways to go on that one.
But you touched on it there. You mentioned talking to CPOs, and I mean, I know you do a lot of that. You're in conversation with procurement leaders daily. I suppose what were the conversations, or what were the key talking points that really convinced you that AI governance compliance was a real problem to look at and to actually solve?
Yeah, man, our conversations with CPOs, it's evolved so quickly. I mean, we took a very early investment into AI. I think we were very fortunate to support companies like Anthropic and OpenAI dating back to 2022 and 2023. We were supporting data-centric companies like Snowflake and Databricks since 2021. Right? These companies really were helping us understand how to push the boundaries early. So we've been having AI investments go live in our products since 2023. And along the way, what I've seen is, maybe I'll break it out 2024 and onward. 2024 was still, what is this thing? It's sort of popping up in my personal life. I'm starting to hear some coverage on it in the market. Maybe I've got, if I'm a more forward-leaning procurement org with a lot of access to technology, I've experimented a little bit here or there. 2025 felt like a total step change. 25, I mean, I think the world was pretty split. CPOs I talked to, a third of them were going, we're all in. I mean, we're building agents right now. We have lots of enterprise investments. We're investing in toolings. Then you got a third of folks who are still kind of feeling it out, not totally sure what it can do for you. And a third of people are bought in. They don't know what to do. Coming into this year, I mean, those conversations have changed.
Wow.
I mean, the first 2 quarters of the year, I mean, every CPO we were meeting with, it went from, I don't know what this is with a third of the population, or I haven't started yet, but I want to do it too. Everybody has started in some way, shape, or form. But what I kept hearing is my employees are doing stuff in like Microsoft Copilot, or they're doing stuff in Claude, or OpenAI, or whatever mechanisms the enterprise had given those employees access to. But the problem is work was just kind of being conducted in this area that didn't connect to where the work was actually being hosted and orchestrated, which is maybe Zip or your source to pay underlying technologies. And I remember, one CPO, who's actually a client of ours, they're a Fortune 100 bank. And they said they were negotiating a $9 million contract. And the CPO had found out through the deal review with his sourcing director that the whole deal was basically strategized through GPT. Now, the problem is, that was somebody's personal GPT.
Right. Wow. Okay.
That's not very auditable.
We won't name them.
We're not going to name them, and we service a lot of banks, so good luck trying to find out, right? But the point is, this is happening. It's happening under the nose of every enterprise, regulated or not. Employees have access to these things on their phones, on their work laptops, on their personal laptops. Right? So you're lucky if they're doing it within your works environment of LLM. You're unlucky, and it's probably very likely that they're actually doing work in even their personal environments. And I think that's when we had this real deep realization alongside these CPOs that work needs to be conducted in an auditable manner, because if you're doing it and then trying to back into the auditability, that's a pretty big problem. And I think as we're now introducing the concept of a super agent, and this will just continue moving down the innovation line aggressively, what you're going to see is more and more work surface area will be managed by a whole fleet of agents, these superheroes. You call.
Here they come.
But our super agents, they're named users. In Zip, they have full audit trails. They have permissions, guardrailing. There's so many governance and control pieces we built in that allows you to trust ultimately the work that is being conducted and meet the work where it's being conducted, which is within orchestration. So that's really what inspired us to solve this. We just kept hearing this over and over, and we think the music's going to run out, and this is going to catch up to all the organizations out there that have just been sort of in experimentation mode, which I love, by the way.
Of course. And then there's a time and place for experimentation.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I think we're now getting out of that into this is a real strategic capability that CPOs and their executive teams above them really believe will be the future of their enterprise. So now it's time to really move away from experimentation into safely creating the platform and infrastructure to conduct business.
That's amazing, but also terrifying when you think how many people are using AI everywhere in every workplace.
Seriously.
Yeah.
This podcast is in partnership with Amazon Business. Amazon Business is your one-stop destination for everything your organization needs. Think of it as the Amazon you already know and love, but specifically re-engineered for the way you work. Amazon Business gives you access to business-only pricing on millions of items and quantity discounts that scale with your growth. It's about spending less time bogged down in those manual tasks and more time on what really matters. So head over to Amazon Business and make the power of Amazon work for you.
Block and UCI Healthcare were among the first to deploy spend automation. What was it about those ones that made them ready to move against other organizations or other industries?
First off, two incredible organizations and incredibly different, but interestingly also a lot of parallel attributes from an industry perspective. One, you've got one of the largest financial technology firms in the world. They operate things like Square, that like the tap to pay. They operate things like Afterpay, buy now, pay later, Cash App. So many very regulated topics that they deal with for consumers and businesses to really transact. Then you've got a very, very large, successful hospital system. And, I actually live like 10 minutes away from UC Irvine's hospital, main campus hospital. And, I would say there's two things that both these different businesses shared that really allowed them to push the boundaries of what's possible with AI. One, there is really like a deep institutional and top-down view that the future of work is AI. So there's a lot of sponsorship, a lot of deep commitment to really investigate, invest, and make work this technology. Second, I would say there's a really clear understanding, both being heavily regulated organizations, that you have to conduct this business in a governed manner. And the repercussions are very, very real.
Absolutely.
If things slip up. So, I would say both were forced down a road because of their ambition, but also what needs to be protected as an organization. They're forced down a road of being very thoughtful. So, when I think about Block, they had an internal mandate directly from their founder CEO that people have seen all over the news, right? Jack was going, the way of the future is AI. And they took a very, very aggressive stance to make sure all functions, procurement included, were operating AI first. And since then, Block has deployed 53 agents. And they have a whole roadmap more, all on zip, safely conducting the work and auditable. UCI, right? What is more important than the health of our people and our community? And they wanted AI to work for them, but it is a non-negotiable protect all of their patients and make sure they do the due diligence. So, these are both people that, they didn't wait forever to deploy AI. They weren't scared to make that investment. They had a lot of institutional investment again, but they did it very thoughtfully. And that would be my, maybe word of advice for folks out there. Don't wait, right? You've got two very regulated organizations you think would move a bit slow on this topic, but look at them. Like they're pushing the boundaries and launching agents every week into their business.
It's incredible that they're doing that.
It's amazing, honestly.
Obviously, healthcare and financial services, you've talked about it, heavily regulated, but do you think that signals a shift in, I guess, how those industries are looking at AI and thinking about AI more broadly?
I think so. Like you take a step back and your intuitive thought might be, regulated industries would be a little slower.
Perhaps.
Because
there's risk.
There's a lot of risk, right? And kind of the opposite of what we're seeing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a few reasons. One, we found that companies in regulated industries have actually very sophisticated, very, very intelligent procurement practitioners. And they really understand that procurement isn't just one function. It's really a global process.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Horizontally spanning a lot of different professionals at their organization. And they have very involved processes. Right, for lack of better words, they have a lot of steps, a lot of procedures, a lot of teams that get involved, and their ROI is tremendous. I mean, just absolutely tremendous because I don't think people want all this confusion, all these steps, all this documentation that's hard to digest for your average employee.
Yeah,
everybody just wants it to be easy.
it just needs to be simple.
It just needs to be simple. So I think one, they share that same ambition as non-regulated industries for it to be simple. But two, they get a lot of ROI, a lot of juice out of the lemon, and ultimately they're forced to think about governance from day one. Whether it's Block, UCI Health, Humana, Charles Schwab, CIBC, all these regulated organizations that we get to be in the trenches with to innovate every day as partners. I would say they're pretty sophisticated when it comes to AI adoption and very, again, thoughtful about this. And that common thread is, they can't just move fast and break things like other companies. They have to do it safely. And I think, frankly, even though they're regulated, I think every organization, every enterprise on the planet is going to follow the blueprint currently being created by some of these forward-moving companies, some of these regulated businesses. To the tune we talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
All these agents running rampant, all these employees using maybe different environments at work. We need it to be safe and covered.
Well, you've taken the words out of my mouth. I wanted to just follow up and say, do you think it's a really effective way of setting a blueprint for other organizations, the way that those financial services, healthcare organizations are doing it methodically, slowly, with the correct governance and so on?
Yeah, I think so. Now, the only correction is I don't think it's been that slow. I mean, that's the phenomenal part. Some of these clients I named and so many more. I mean, we service over 800 of them. They are moving really fast on this topic. Again, they're doing it thoughtfully.
Yes.
But that's the difference. This isn't putting a technology that takes 24 months to figure out.
Yeah.
This is, people are building agents within a few hours, a day or two. But, I think the blueprint that they've really helped construct with us goes back to that AI spend automation topic you brought up. That was part of our launch. It's that aha moment we had of, well, it's not just about giving you a technology to build agents or leverage AI. It's about really lifting up the hood and having our employees that maybe have, a lot of benchmarks from doing this across a lot of clients. Our employees who have a lot of deep understanding of how the orchestration technology works and how AI works, and are really great listeners and really consultative. And they're just sitting side by side with our clients' teams. And that forward deployed engineering model really helps just kind of fast track everything and be really, again, thoughtful. So, I think that blueprint, we do owe that, frankly, to some of these early moving clients, some of these regulated clients, because they helped us realize Zip has to invest in more than just the software and engineering. We have to invest in really the people and professional expertise. And the same with our incredible SI network of global consultancies. We have so much deep investment and collaboration with these organizations that have the staffing and know-how to also help along this journey. But this is going to be don't get me wrong, this is going to be a really big transition. It's a full replatforming and rebuilding of how business outcomes are derived, right? So that's really the blueprint, I think. It's the technology, it's that credit model, and it's ultimately the forward deployed expertise to help clients.
That's so cool. One digression, if I may, because I love that you talked about Zip learning as well, because I think it's something that is forgotten sometimes, right? You work with these huge organizations, but you're developing and growing so rapidly as well. you must take learnings from every one of these use cases, and it helps you develop as well.
Yeah. This is a huge part. I mean, we call it Z Best. I think it's a catchy name. But
I like it.
Debatable, I suppose. But we call it Z Best, but we have an entire process and program internally across all of our client delivery and client-facing roles. And it's all about capturing best practices that we're observing, we're learning, we're conducting every day, and building that into a library that our employees can quickly onboard into, because we're also growing really fast, hiring more talent to help the market.
And you can't stay still.
We can't stay still. We're moving real fast. We're, you started the meeting with, we're busy.
Yeah.
We've been real busy, right? But, these professionals at Zip are really able to tap into, call it the shared hive mind of the best enterprises out there that everybody's dealing with the same thing right now. Right? They're trying to figure out how to redesign their business for this world. They're trying to break down their global procedures to make it more automated.
Yep.
Well, that's a benefit, frankly, of getting to work with organizations like us, right?
Yeah.
We should and will bring to bear those best practices and that level of consulting, right? So it comes with the territory of what we do, and we've been real excited to have just, I think, progressed very far with our clients in a short period of time here. A lot more to do, though.
No, it's amazing, and you really see that proper collaboration. I can sense that every time you talk about it. It's incredible. A couple more questions, if I may. Just back to the super agents, you talked about aha moments a little while ago. I suppose when you were talking to CPOs about the super agents, where do you see them most interested? Where does it really click for them when you see a use case or a aha, that's where I can put that super agent?
Oh man, yeah. This is maybe
too many.
This is long-winded, but I remember when we first started the business, and man, that first month having calls with procurement leaders, you can't help but have gotten I did all the time, but you can't help but have gotten goosebumps, because you would see in their eyes
it's there.
And I remember in that first month when we were having these dialogues with leaders, this is years ago, and I remember that feeling I had going, oh my God, in textbooks they describe this phrase called product market fit. I'm like, what does that actually mean? I don't know. I mean, there's like a academic version of it, but I think that's what it is. It was that feeling. This feeling came back this year and last year talking to all these CPOs, but I think a few aha moments. One, I think once CPOs really immerse themselves in and go through some discussions with us, some examples, some demonstration, we have really found that CPOs realize this is a huge strategic capability unlock for their business, and that they realize they have to double down on this because this is the way to conduct work. I think that's one aha moment. I see it all the time right now.
Yeah.
The second aha moment I see just all the time is I think they realize, actually, I'm not like decimating my org or anything.
Yeah.
There's some fear on that. And I think a lot of like things are talked about at the water cooler. Sure. No, I think the reality is you're going to get rid of the mundane work that all your employees are complaining about anyways. In skip level meetings, in QBRs, in employee survey feedbacks going, good Lord, if I have to do another one of these manual data entry things, oh my, if I have to go chase another person to do this, this is the stuff that reduces your ability to retain employees and give them incredible, fulfilling career paths. So imagine a world, right? I'm a CPO. I'm probably imagining it. I'm getting rid of the stuff that people are just burdened by. And the stuff they signed up for back when they started their careers in procurement or supply chain, that's actually really darn fun.
Yeah.
They get to do that way more, right? I think that's an aha moment I hear about all the time. CPOs going, oh my God, I can just have my 20 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 staff members focus on this instead of these things. Yeah, I would love that. So I think that's really a big second one. And once we get into how a contract is being reviewed and walk through how we can autonomously start redlining that. Once we start getting into a topic of how a sourcing deal is constructed and how we can autonomously start setting that out, and they see it, they can't unsee it, right? That's been that's big. Yeah, that's just been the coolest thing, actually, getting to work with these leaders who've seen every variation of how to do business under the sun.
Yeah.
And you can see it in their eyes. And that's the same feeling I had back in 2020, when we started this thing. It is really a fantastic time.
I can still see it in your eyes. That must be the beauty of being a founder. You must be endlessly amazed at the thing you created, what it's doing.
The thing our team and our clients created ultimately, right? And I think our clients are amazed. We hosted our AI summit where we did this big announcement and this launch a couple days ago, right before DPW here. And we had clients that have been with us for years attending. Loads of them were there. So many of them came up to me. They came up to my other co-founders, they came up to our team members, and they were saying their minds are blown. Their minds are blown. That's pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's what innovation's about. So.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm really excited for working with all the clients out there and those that haven't gotten started on the journey yet, maybe thinking about it. It's a good time to go explore and be thoughtful, but also don't be slow and don't wait. Go push on this. Companies are finding success right now.
So a final point, talking about going for it, grabbing it. If you look at those organizations, procurement functions in enterprises that have really leaned into this, we've talked about some of those. I guess people making headway.
Yeah.
If you're talking about advantage or benefit, where do you see those in a couple of years from now, and how much headway will they really make by really embracing and throwing themselves into?
Yeah. Look, it's hard to even put ourselves right now, just to preface. 24, 36 months from now, let alone 12.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's a fair statement for anybody tuning in, because things are changing every month. Even internally at our company, unrelated to our product we offer to our solution we offer to clients, the way we are conducting business is changing week by week. We're doing weekly enablement sessions for employees on how to code things out and build their own agents. And we're getting so much more effective at doing work. And that's just, we're at a scale, a fraction of the size of some of the clients that we service. And I think about what they're going through. So anyways, it's hard to put yourself that far out, but I think a few things hold true. And, hopefully these aren't too sensitive of a topic to bring up. But look, I think you fast forward, orgs will be maybe able to do 10x the volume at half the size, likely, right? And people will be happier in those orgs as well. And, I think a lot of new roles will be created. At our AI summit, we had some phenomenal leaders on stage from just large progressed businesses talking about the future role in their function that they're calling procurement engineer. I like to refer to it as a procurement architect. And it doesn't matter if you're a CPO or a sourcing person or a category management person, a procurement process operations person. It doesn't matter your day-to-day official title. It's this concept of we will have professionals in procurement, and frankly, all professions at an enterprise, really lean in to the technology and lean into the fact that they're going to rebuild. They're going to understand first, deeply, how work is being conducted at their business today. They're in the trenches doing that work. And they're going to have the ability to really take a step back and reimagine their processes and then push the boundaries of what's possible to unlock with technology and exploit the value. Those are the architects, those are the engineers. And I think this role, this person in this role, actually, for most of the people tuning in, they may already be working in your team. Either they've already emerged and it's clear as day to you that, wow, I want to bet on these one or a number of different individuals in my org because they're pushing the boundaries, or they haven't emerged to you yet, but they're literally sitting there. And it's our job as leaders to give them an environment and culture where they feel very comfortable raising their hand, volunteering for things. I've seen a lot of companies out here at DPW who I've been talking to, their CPOs are hosting hackathons. They're hosting roundtables. They're doing skip levels down to the IC level. And I think that's because they're incredible leaders.
Yeah.
They know how to create that environment for talent to really unearth it and rise up. And if there were ever a time to do that, it's probably right now, because you've got all sorts of individuals that are probably real curious and tinkering and ready to jump in head first. So look, I think 50% of the team will do 10x work. And I think new roles like this architect will emerge and become a mandatory part of the team org structure. Last piece is, I think as process gets reinvented, as technology gets brought to the forefront here, I think we're going to see some interesting changes overall in the organizational structuring.
Okay.
And I talked to a lot of CPOs, and I mean, they're pretty heads down in a lot of cases, tinkering and redesigning different org models and operating models. And yeah, I don't think anybody's sort of nailed it. I think we're all building the plane as we go a bit right now, but we don't want to wait. But I think in 24 months, there will be a more clear set of successes that have really bubbled up to the top, and will be super clear. And those are the individuals who, I think we should all, compliment, because they're going to help the rest of the market. They're going to help suppliers like ourselves at Zip really land the right way to approach this. But in the meantime, we're going to keep aggressively investing. We're going to keep deeply working tightly with our clients and really having our ear to the ground with them. And, we're going to share what we learn real time with folks out there. And again, I encourage you all, if you haven't already, sign up for a meeting with us, sign up for a meeting with others, right? This is crazy. This conference was like a half of the size last year. I mean, you were here.
Yeah.
Holy moly. I mean, the level of innovation
It's huge, and it's fast.
It's so fast. It's so amazing. And look, there's lots of great work and innovation to be conducted here in the next few years. So, I don't know anything else, but
that's it, Felix. It's been incredible speaking to you. Always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I predict one thing, that the next time we bump into each other, we will say, you are busy again.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think that will ever stop.
You may not have gotten a haircut. You may not have gotten a haircut.
Well, I might surprise you, actually. And if I know we've got a meeting coming up.
Oh my God. If you came with like a buzz cut, I think I would just, I don't know if I could do the interview. I would just see like looking at you confused.
I would do it maybe and put a wig on to keep you going. But no, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Of course,
Felix. Been great. That's it. Fantastic.
Matt, thank you so much.
No problem. So that's it from this episode of the Procurement Magazine podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with Felix. So much to touch on and many more things to scratch the surface of, I imagine. So maybe there's a part 2 in there. Awesome. In the meantime, keep tuning in, keep watching, and we'll be back with you soon. Thank you. And that's a wrap on this episode of the Procurement Podcast, brought to you by BizClick and our sponsors, Amazon Business. Thank you for joining us as we strategize our way through the wild world of procurement. Don't forget, if you have a great story or key insights that you want to share, we'd love to have you on the show. Send us your speaker pitch or reach out if you've got any questions by dropping us a line at procurementpodcast@bizclickmedia.com. Thanks again for joining us. It's been great having you. We'll be back next week with another episode.